So this channel has kind of started originally as me doing like health coaching, personal training recommendations, and then it kind of turned into me sharing about my grad school experience and like why I chose to go to certain schools, why I ended up dropping out, why I started another one, why I paused the program again, and like accreditations, all the things. And yeah, I just thought I'd do like a reintroduction, maybe, I guess, if you will. I am 31 years young, just recently 31 years young, and I joined the military right out of high school as a medic and lived my best life. I got to travel Europe. I learned how to snowboard. I went paragliding, parasailing, like all the amazingly wonderful things. I got to do them, and I got to just be surrounded by like such an amazing group of people, such diversity, and so many different lifestyles. Like we had people from California, we had people from upstate New York, we had people from just like all over, Jamaica, Ukraine, just everyone. And I loved my experience. I mostly joined because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my life. And I was like 18, and originally I was going to go pre-med in kinesiology. I wanted to become a sports medicine doctor and work for professional like football teams and like college football, like all the things. I wanted to be like the head person, or like UFC, like I wanted to be like that medical staff person, right? And then I realized that like there weren't really any women doing it, and I was like, well, I don't want to like waste all these years going to school and not being able to do it, which is like such a limiting belief, but like I didn't see it, and I wasn't like the way changer. So I decided to join the Army instead, which is kind of funny because it's like that's a predominantly male path to go down. So, but it is what it is. I was 18, barely. I was 17 when I signed up for the military. My mom had to sign a waiver, so she was like, if you die while you're in, and I was the reason why you were technically allowed to join, like I'm never gonna be able to live past it. But thankfully I got out of the military unscathed, so my mom doesn't have to have that guilt on her shoulder anymore. But I got out, and I became literally everything I swore up and down I was not gonna become. I became a military spouse. I got pregnant, and then I became a military spouse. And I wasn't really ready to leave the military, even though I was gonna go like nursing school, even though I knew I did not want to be a nurse. So on goes my path of entrepreneurship. I was working towards pre-nursing, and then I was just like, why? Like, why are you working towards this like degree path when you don't even want to become a nurse? Just because everyone and their mom told you you'd be good at it and that you should do it, and it's what stereotypical women do. And so I don't know, I just started pursuing it. And while I was in the program, I was so much more interested in photography, and I started shadowing other photographers. I booked a couple of like sessions, and they were not good. I mean, did I get paid like $50? Yeah, but like they were not good. And I grew from there. I was not always bad. I didn't stay bad, but I fell into the wedding photography industry and absolutely loved the wedding photography industry. I felt like it had this like perfect balance of like kind of like me working in the clinic when I was in the military, because it was like go, and like make sure you're ready for all the things that are going to happen, and make sure you have the tentative plan in place for all of these things, and have this stuff as like a just in case, you know. And so there was like that stress environment, but then it was also like, this is so much fun, like I love this, which maybe not as much the experience that I had as a medic. You know, a lot of the clinic stuff's not like that fun, but you feel like important and valued, and like you're making a difference or you're making an impact in this person's day. And maybe not every single time. Anyway. But with like the wedding photography industry, like I loved it. Like I loved being a part of this person's day. I loved all of the things. So somewhere along the way, I I wasn't showing up fully. It's like a pattern of my life. And I realized a lot of that had to do with what I grew up around. And I was always told that I needed to have a reliable job. I needed a sustainable job. I needed to blah, 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 blah. You could go be a nurse. You could go become a doctor. You could go become this. And I realized that heavily affected me as an entrepreneur, because anytime things didn't immediately go how I hoped that they would go, I was like, I should have just gotten a regular job. Maybe this isn't the life for me. Maybe I do need to do this. Instead of like looking at it measurable and being like, how much have you been connecting with people on social media? How much have you been, showing up in general? And 9 times out of 10, I was not showing up, and that was the real reason why I wasn't successful. And then when I did show up, it was like because it wasn't an absolute necessity. But you can't show up absolute necessity as a business owner. You can't just like show up and then magically they will come. Maybe, possibly. But most of the time, it is a slow growth. Like, unless you go and you pay like a ton of money in ads and like strategically placing them, strategic plans of funnels and all the things, like, and even then it takes like 7 at least times of somebody seeing you before they even consider you. So that in mind, I fell into this rabbit hole of self-sabotage with the things that I was genuinely passionate about. And fast forward to 2018, I was just done. I was burnt out of doing all these little side hustles for like no money. Another form of self-sabotage. I was actually just reading, side note, related note, I was just reading from We Shall Be Millionaires by Rachel Rogers, and she's like, whatever your prices are at right now, double it. I don't care what they're at right now. Double it. You're not charging your worth, especially as a woman. You are not charging your worth. And I was like, she's right, because I'm burnt out. Like, I get very burnt out, and it's because when you undercharge yourself, you still have to work just as hard, but now you have to take on extra clients. And then you're not putting your A game because you are so burnt out, you're so spread thin, and like, for what? Like, pennies. So I was so burnt out, and I was like, you know what? Maybe they were right. Maybe I do need to go become a nurse. And that wasn't the case. That wasn't true. So over the years, like, I've had to kind of like ebb and flow with entrepreneurship and being like, okay, this is working for me right now, but will this work long term? And photography was one of those things where it was like, this is working, this is great. But then I realized that I was getting so stressed out because I regularly had to go and get a sitter. And God forbid my child got sick or like something came up. And so I was just like, I can't, like, this is just so stinking stressful for me. I need to reconsider what I want to do as an entrepreneur. And I was like, people are always gone to me for questions relating to their branding or for their design, or asked me for help with their designing, like without me even having a design business. Like, maybe I should start going back towards that. But another area that I have always been super passionate about is in the health and wellness industry. I did sports medicine back in high school, and it was like literally the dream. Like, there are so many times where I still go back and I'm like, but like, what if I became like an athletic trainer? What if I went back and did this and that? And so I have heavily realized that like, entrepreneurship doesn't have to be a straight line. It doesn't have to look the same in fact, it hardly ever looks the same for two different people, even if they're going on a relatively similar path. Like, it's still not going to look the same for them because they have their own personal things going on. They have their own mental things going on. They have their own external things going on. And one of the things that I came to realize was that I could balance 2 passions. I feel like a flight attendant. I can balance 2 really big passions and not go against like what matters to me or my core focus. So moving forward, the Melissa Ann platform is still going to be focused on like health and wellness. I have my book that I wrote about my late marriage and We dive into like substance abuse and marriage problems and postpartum depression and just all the things. I also have my personal training and health coaching certification. And I actually just paid for Ace Fitness, has like a yearly subscription that you can pay for, or a monthly subscription of sorts that you can pay for. And I paid for like a recovery. I'll have to go back and read what it's actually about. But basically it's like injury prevention. And I was like, that's kind of like the athletic training aspect of things. And I was super passionate about that as a kid. I love all those things. And so with that being said, I've decided, as I've shared in another video about me deciding to stop my master's program again, I've decided that like I don't need to have a master's degree to be educated in something and to help other people and to be of service to other people. I do not have to have a degree to do such things. In fact, coincidentally or ironically or whatever, having gone to a couple of different master's programs, all of it's on you reading educational information, which is the shit that I already do for fun, but I'm paying somebody $500 a credit hour to do the same thing, whereas I could have just gone and bought the books, listened to the doctors, read from the different doctors, compared studies and research on my own, and done the same thing, but created it into like a YouTube video or a blog post or social media. And I kind of had this awakening of almost like, bitch, like I think you're self-sabotaging. Like you are prioritizing all these other things, which makes you look good because you're like, oh, I'm in a master's program. I'm getting smarter. I'm getting educated. But really I was self-sabotaging because like I know all of these different things for my business that I need to do. I have so many books. I'm literally like, if I look over here and the sun's coming out, so I'm sorry if it starts getting super bright all of a sudden. I have Unmasking Autism. I have In the Realm of, Hungry Ghost. It's about substance abuse. I have nutrition stuff down here. I have health and wellness. I have musculoskeletal system stuff. And this is just in my room. Downstairs I have like a ton of business related content. Or books. I have a ton of psychology books. I have spirituality curiosities, like all of the things. And I'm like, who am I to believe that like I can't read these and share my pointers from it or the things that I gained out of it, or to strike a conversation or maybe help somebody? Because even if me and somebody else read the same book, I could come up here and share it on my platform and somebody else could be like, oh my gosh, mind blown, the way that you just described that, like I did not catch that from the book and I read the same dang book, or I listened to the Audible, or whatever. It doesn't matter. I had to have this like heart to heart with myself that like I'm allowed to show up and I don't need a master's or a doctoral to show up and provide value and to help others. So with that being said, I am restarting my coaching program. It's called Accountability. And it's going to be under my From Grief to Gold brand. I've decided that Melissa Ann is just like my umbrella. So if you go to the Melissa Ann website, it's going to reference my book. It's going to reference the From Grief to Gold. And it's going to reference the Branded Academy, which I feel gets to kind of like help me focus on my favorite things without burnout. So Melissa Ann will have, if I'm doing any speaking engagements, those are going to be listed. If I was a guest on a podcast, that's going to be listed. When I write another book at some point, all of my books are going to be listed. But then I will also have you directed to two of my big programs. So it's going to be From Grief to Gold. And From Grief to Gold has my podcast. It will eventually have retreats and workshops. And I have my accountability coaching under there, because I wanted an accountability coach when I was going through my grieving process, because I knew what I needed to do. I knew how to eat well. I knew how to exercise. I just wanted somebody to be like, Bish, where you at? Where you at, girl? Like, where you at? Come on. You said you were going to do this. Where you at? So I can be that for you if you're interested. Whether that's accountability for building up a business goal that you have, that like grief just knocked you on your feet or knocked you off your feet, and like now you need to like come back up. Or if it's with the health and wellness aspect of like nutrition and getting your body moving, because I feel like financial is also part of your health and wellness. Can speak from personal experience. And I also have the Brand Academy, which is providing tools, resources, services to help people that have this business idea and being able to help them take it to a fully branded launch, and kind of getting out of their head and prolonging their launch by giving them the tools. Like, let's talk about color schemes, let's talk about logos, let's talk about the copy, the website, how you're gonna market yourself. It's all focused on brand design and brand awareness. And that will also have its own YouTube channel and its own website. So from grief to gold, the Branded Academy. I'm excited. I feel really good about it. I have self-sabotaged for so long and have always had this like fear of showing up and like, oh, but like I can show up once I have a degree, or I can show up once. And it's like, no, just show up now. Like, the right people are going to be excited. The right people are going to care. The right people are going to want to work with you, and everybody else can suck it, right? They can suck it. So yeah, I just wanted to reintroduce myself, share a little bit of what I have to offer. And if you like it, then like, cool, welcome. Like, comment, subscribe. If you don't, then like, bye. Like, I don't need you. I don't need you. You need me. Maybe. But that's all I have for today. Just a quick little introduction, sharing what I have going on, what's in the works. I'm really excited to start reading books that I want to read again, so that I can give y'all the notes and my take on it. So that's all I have. I hope you have a wonderful day. If you have any questions for me or about me, or want me to dive into something a little bit more in depth, let me know and I will work on another video for you. So, okay. All right. Bye.